हेलो गाइस वेलकम टू कौशल आईएएस आम सोसाइटी रो टेस्ट जो होता तार पार्ट 2 डिस्कस करवा टिके लेट हो गला डिस्कशन रे से क्षमा करवा टिके काम जाइथिला ओके सो आ समय नष्ट न करके आम डिस्कशन को स्टार्ट करवा राइट सो प्रथम पांचटा क्वेश्चन आम ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर सारी आउ पांचटा नेक्स्ट जोटा अच्छे आम ताकू टिके डिस्कस करवा ओके हाँ तो देखो प्रथम क्वेश्चन जोटा यहाँ अच्छे 6th नंबर जो क्वेश्चन टा सेटा कहूँ डेवलपमेंट initiative for tribal community often comes at the cost of their cultural identity and tribal traditional livelihood. Critically analyze the statement and suggest framework that ensure inclusive development, preserving tribal heritage and autonomy. तो पिला माने क्वेश्चन एटी दीटा पार्ट को हमको एड्रेस करिवार अछि प्रथम एई पार्ट को एड्रेस करिवार अछि गोटे स्टेटमेंट कारण कहि छि क्रिटिकली एनालाइज दिस स्टेटमेंट तो एटा ए स्टेटमेंट को हमको क्रिटिकली एनालिसिस करिवार अछि सेकंड कथा होछि सजेस्ट फ्रेमवर्क दैट एन्श्योर्स इंक्लूसिव डेवलपमेंट माने हमको कौन मेजर सब नेबा कथा जोटा कि तांकर डेवलपमेंट को छाड़ी दे के हेरिटेज आ ऑटोनॉमी कथा भी ध्यान रे रखि पारिबो राइट सो हमें प्रथमे कौन करबा प्रथमे देखो एटा प्रथम तो एटा काहे कि मो क्वेश्चन रे देली हैला प्रथम क्वेश्चन टा बुझो बारंबार कौन होचे गोटे न्यूज राष्ट्र जोटा को हमें कहूचे ग्रेट निकोबार प्रोजेक्ट है एटा बहुत टाइम रे न्यूज रे आसुची एहा छडा आ गोटे जिंस जोटा न्यूज रे अछि सेटा होची लाइवलीहुड राइट सॉरी लाइवलीहुड राइट एटा तो नेशनल न्यूज टा बट एटा ओडिसा स्पेसिफिक न्यूज टा कारण मोहन माझी गवर्नमेंट जोटा एबे ओडिसा रे जे पावर रे अछि से कोन करछ विभिन्न ट्राइबल मानन को लाइवलीहुड राइट हमर जो फॉरेस्ट राइट्स एक्ट 2006 अंडर रे कोन करछि से प्रदान करछि रिसेंटली देवगढ़ रो गोटे ट्राइब को से माने डोंगरिया कंध गोटे ट्राइब अछि टिके नाटा देखिबो डोंगरिया कंध एटा देवगढ़ मयूरभंज यार जो माने कोन कहबा डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड सेठी हमको देखिया को मिलछि तेनु करी एठी कोन हिछि यांकू लाइवलीहुड रो राइट मिलिछि राइट तो लाइवलीहुड राइट कहले कोन तो माने टिके बहुत डिटेल ले पड़िबो मो शॉर्टली टिके बते दोछे कि livelihood right means the right to collect resources from the forest minor resources including land wood honey timber etc which are required for their sustainability so livelihood right रे कोन करा जाय ना मन कर ई डोंगरिया कंध ट्राइब को कोन कहआ गला कि माने गच्छ काटी पारिबे जोटा तांकर नेसेसिटी एमति नै कि जळाइबा पई सामाने गच्छ काटिबे जोटा तांकर बहुत नेसेसिटी सेटा पई सामाने जंगल रो कोन करि परिबे जंगल जो आउटस्कर्ट्स अछि एठु से माने कोन करि परिबे काठ सब ये करि परिबे राइट कारण ताकर लाइवलीहुड डिपेंड करे सिंपली एटा बुझो ताकर लाइफ को सस्टेन करबा पई जो हजार हजार वर्ष से माने जेमति रही आसुतले सेमति चलिया पई जो जिंस गुडा को नित्यांत आवश्यक से जिंस गुडा को तांको अवेलेबल करा जिवो तो तेनु करे दीटा जाक जोटा हमर ये गुडा को अछि से दीटा जाकर मुख्य टॉपिक होछि कोन ट्राइबल नेशनल न्यूज रे जोटा अछि ग्रेट निकोबार प्रोजेक्ट तो माने जानछो अंडमान निकोबार आइलैंड सेठी विभिन्न प्रकार पीवीटीजी ट्राइब माने सब देखिया को मिलंती फॉर एग्जांपल जेमती ओंजे और सेंटिनेलीज ओके तो समाने कोन होची समाने ग्रेट निकोबार प्रोजेक्ट हम कहू गोटे मल्टीनेशनल ट्रांसशिपमेंट कॉरिडोर हम गोटे बनेवा को जाउछे सो सेठी कोन हो ना ई प्रोजेक्ट रे बहुत ही बेसी हमको गच्छ काटिबा को पड़िबो तो एक तो एनवायरनमेंट रे भी गोटे क्वेश्चन हे पारे आ सेठी जो ट्राइबल माने पीवीटीजी ट्राइब माने अछंती तांको डिस्प्लेस करा जिवो तो सेटा बड़ डिबेट अछि जे ए प्रोजेक्ट टाको सेति पय 2018 रु ऑलरेडी पास करालानी किंतु एबे जाय तार क्लियरेंस मिली नहीं एबे रिसेंटली न्यूज आसला कि ता पय क्लियरेंस सरकार देबे बोली चेष्टा करचंदी तो तेनु करी ट्राइबल मानन को ऊपर जो अछि क्वेश्चन टा एटा गोटे पोटेंशियल क्वेश्चन आसी जाय पारे तो तुम माने टिके ध्यान रखिबो ओके देखो तो हमको एठी जो क्रिटिकली एनालाइज कोछि हमको एटा एनालाइज करिवार अछि कि भाई डेवलपमेंट जोटा होछि डेवलपमेंट हेबा फल रे कोन होछि कि ट्राइबल मानकर जो कल्चरल आइडेंटिटी अछि आउ तांकर जो लाइवलीहुड अछि एटा कोन होछि डिक्लाइन होछि क्रिटिकली एनालाइज पिला माने क्रिटिकली एनालाइज शब्दर माने कोन हम एठी टिके बुझिया को चेष्टा करबा क्रिटिकली एनालाइज शब्दर माने होछि वी हैव टू राइट द पॉजिटिव पॉइंट्स वी हैव टू राइट द नेगेटिव पॉइंट्स राइट पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव पॉइंट्स लिखि सारिला परे फाइनली वी हैव टू असेस assess means we have to measure or count that actually it is profiting them or they are losing their tribal identity or livelihood माने गोटे तराजू रे जेमिति गोटे तराजू रे आमे कोन निकिति जोटा आमे कहूचे दीपटे आमे पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव पॉइंट को रखिबा तापरे जो पलडाटा भारी हबो से हिसाब रे आमे डिसाइड करबा जोटा हमर क्रिटिकली एनालाइज कहिछि माने आमे पॉजिटिव पक्ष को भी देखिले नेगेटिव पक्ष को भी देखिले फाइनली कोन होछि ताकर बेनिफिट होछि ना लॉस होछि एटा हमको लिखिबा को पड़िबो सो असेस जो शब्दटा मु कहिली से शब्दटा को आपण माने जिते बेले भी क्रिटिकली एनालाइज शब्दटा को देखिबे तो असेस शब्द ऊपर बहुत ध्यान देबे एटा उइह एटा देखा जीवनी आपण को बट एटा ही तार मुख्य लक्ष्य कि पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव मध्यरु कोटा अधिक सो आमे सेमति करिब देखो डेवलपमेंट इनिशिएटिव हमको कोन करो अछि प्रथम पार्ट रे लिखिबार अछि कि हाउ डेवलपमेंट इनिशिएटिव helps tribal people right so तुम माने मु आशा करछि एटा लिखि पारिबो डेवलपमेंट इनिशिएटिव लाई एमति गोटा कर देले हम बेनिफिट्स ऑफ डेवलपमेंट पॉलिसीज एमति लिखि देले कर देले गोटे कोन करि परिबा ना अच्छा मु इंट्रोटा बताया पे भूली गली इंट्रो रे जो मु तुमको कहले डोंगरिया कंध को जो लाइवलीहुड राइट मिली छे किमा तुमे जदी हमर सबटु भलो हबो न्यूज़टा जोटा समस्त कथा होचंदे सेटा होचे जो मु जोटा कहली ग्रेट निकोबार प्रोजेक्ट विषय रे भी तुमे लिखि पारिबो एठु गोटे सिंपल इंट्रोडक्शन तुमे लिखि पारिबो कि रिसेंटली इंडिया हैज अनाउंस्ड फॉर द कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ ए मल्टीनेशनल ट्रांसशिपमेंट कॉरिडोर at Nicobar under the name Great Nicobar Project. But the recent questions regarding tribal displacement and their inclusive development has raised a question about the economic development leading to tribal identity and cultural erosion. Okay? So एमती करी कि तुमे गोटे इंट्रोडक्शन लिखि पारिबो और तुमे जदि डोंगरिया कंध को नेकी इंट्रोडक्शन गोटे लिखिया को चाहछो देन यू कैन आल्सो राइट दैट Odisha government recently provided the livelihood rights under the Forest Rights Act 2006 to a PVTG tribe of Deoghar called Dongriya Kans. This marks a departure from the previous government schemes which has generally neglected the tribal inclusive development with including their protection of cultural identity and preservation of tribal livelihood. So in this context let us analyze करके आपण तापर बॉडी स्टार्ट करे पारिबे ओके नाउ हम एठी कोन लिखिबा हम एठी लिखिबा हमरो बॉडीटा को जोटा हम लिखिया को जाउछे सेटा हम लिखिबा सो बेनिफिट्स ऑफ डेवलपमेंट स्कीम्स एठी आपण एमती लिखि पारिबे एजुकेशन ओके तो सब बळे पिला माने एजुकेशन एमती लिखि के आपण एठी एग्जांपल देबे हला एनईपी रो एग्जांपल दे देले एनईपी 2020 डिजाइन्ड फॉर वर्नाकुलर लैंग्वेज ओके सो सेटा हम एठी लिखि पारिबा हेल्थ प्रधानमंत्री जो आयुष पीएम आयुष योजना एटा को आपण लिखि पारिबे तापरे वोकेशन तो एठी आपण कोन करि पारिबे वोकेशन और वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट लिखिले वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट लिखि के आपण कोन कहबे शक्ति लिखि पारिबे किमा लखपति दीदी स्कीम जोटा अछि सेटा आपण लिखि पाले वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट रे आपण लिखि पाले तापरे हमें कोन लिखि पारिबे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हला जॉब और एम्प्लॉयमेंट जोटा हमें कहूचे ए सब जिंस गुडा को आपण कोन कले मार्क कर देले गोटे गोटे रे इंक्लूडिंग देयर स्कीम्स बुझि पाले तो ए सब जिंस गुडा को आपण लिखि देले जेमति जो पीएम विश्वकर्मा scheme was originally designed specifically for the development of artisans and we know many tribal art are being GI tagged right so tribal artisan मानकर रक्षा पई तांकर उत्थान पई जो पीएम विश्वकर्मा स्कीम हे गले सेटा आस्ता सो हमें ए सब जिंस को वोकेशन रे जॉब क्रिएशन रे हमें ए सब जिंस गुडा को लिखि पारिबा हला ओके तापरे पिला माने हमको सेकंड रे कोन लिखिबार अछि सेकंड रे जेतो हम क्रिटिकली असेस करछे सो हमको नेगेटिव पॉइंट गुडा को लिखिबार अछि एंड नेगेटिव पॉइंट रे जे तुमे ओडिसा रो एग्जांपल दे पारिबो वेरी गुड इंडिया रो देले भी चलिबो सो नेगेटिव पॉइंट रे हमें कोन देबा नेगेटिव पॉइंट रे हमें दे परिबा सबटु प्रथम हमें देबा कि फर्स्ट 5 ईयर प्लान जोटा हमर हेतिला सेठी हमें कोन कला हमें सेठी हमर जोटा एटा कौन एटा हीराकुद टाकू बनैले बट सेठी 80 विलेजेस सॉरी 80 पंचायत वर डिस्प्लेस्ड ओके सो प्रथम आम एठी कारण कौन लिखिबा कि तांको जो लैंड राइट मिलवा कथा सेटा तांको आज जाय मिली पाले ड्यू टू एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव करप्शन एंड अदर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव डिलेस और इश्यूज राइट सो लैंड तांको मिली पाला नहीं तांकर जो लाइवलीहुड थिला जेहेतु ट्राइबल माने हमें जानी छे दे आर मेनली डिपेंडेंट अपॉन एग्रीकल्चर एंड फॉरेस्ट सो एज land availability or rehabilitation programs failed miserably they are stripped of their livelihood or their economic position has degraded to such a level that they are forced to beg right so द्वितीय पॉइंट एटा हम लिखिले तृतीय पॉइंट हमें कौन लिखि परिबा कि ट्राइबल कल्चर इज ऑलवेज एंड every time in preposition to the forest they worship the forest they collect their food from the forest their livelihood depend upon forest so for developmental projects like roads bridges or any type of infrastructure which leads to the clearance of forest has always impacted tribals example एठी हमें देई परिबा गोटे ट्राइब अछि पिला माने जहाँ को रिहाबिलिटेट कराइला केन्दुझर मयूरभंज से ट्राइब ता नाम मांकड़िया सो मांकड़िया ट्राइब वाज रिप्लेस्ड इन द 1990s okay but as their livelihood and their traditional values were directly connected to the forest even today they travel 20-30 kilometers per day in a cycle or by foot to collect the forest produces and sell them in the market so the faulty it हम लिखिबा faulty design of rehabilitation projects without the proper acknowledgement of tribal needs so एटा गोटे हमरो प्रॉब्लम हमको देखा दियो नेक्स्ट हमें नेगेटिव पॉइंट रे कोन लिखि परिबा कि the mainstreaming of tribal or the inclusive programs such as let us take for example e-shram okay let us take for example e-shram it is designed to provide employment opportunity to non-skilled or unskilled workers right but the registration process of e-shram portal is somewhat a very complex process to someone who has not even touched a computer right the identification proofs the resident proofs and the complex procedure the not so friendly interface which generally rejects applications on e-shram portal so this is a very good example which we can put in the negative points that the aim of this scheme was good it was designed for the unskilled workers including the tribals but the process under which a person can register himself or herself for the job is such complex that he decides or she decides not to apply so हमें केबे गोटे अपॉर्चुनिटी देई देले सेटा बड़ कथा नुह हमें केमिति से अपॉर्चुनिटी टाको अवेलेबल भी से लोकोटा करै परिबो से जिंसटा को हमको टिके नोटिस करबा को पड़े राइट सो प्लीज always try to put example of e-shram portal okay now next is health right and education health and education so health in case of health as there are very remote villages where the primary care has been delayed to such an extent that the medicines which required to be there in winter gets there in summer so the delay why the delay because of reluctancy whose reluctancy the political reluctancy the administrative reluctancy resulting in the delay of healthcare systems still today we can also put that Kalahandi Nagar Kendujhar Mayurbhanj records the highest number of malaria related death in India. Imagine, in India, I am not talking about only Odisha, I am talking about India. So malaria is a curable disease, is a preventable disease, right? In cities, malaria related deaths are zero, but in these areas, let us assume 1,000 people died in Odisha of malaria, then the tribal areas contributed to more than 70%. So we can write that the delay in healthcare, the delay in arrival of healthcare systems has resulted in 70% deaths across four districts, that is Kalahandi, Noyagad, Kendujhar and Mayurbhanj in 2024 alone, marking the highest number of deaths in uh, India related to malaria. So healthcare system, we cannot even manage to prevent a disease which is curable. We are losing lives, right? So this is a very big problem. Second is nutrition. Health is always related to nutrition. So under health, we can also write about nutrition. So nutrition programs have failed miserably. Why? Because still today the number of children who faced stunting or a child wasting or the maternal mortality rate or child mortality rate, what do you think? Where will it be highest? So you will come to know that the tribal areas record maximum number of child mortality rates, maximum number of maternal mortality rates, maximum number of child stunting, child wasting, etc., etc. So these indicate a failure or a substantial lag in delivering health services to the tribal areas. Now next, education. Education is another challenge because take for example, we have provided tribals with fundamental rights, and under Article 30 we have tried to protect the tribal rights, okay, that they can establish their cultural institutions. These institutions can only be run by them, etc., etc. But how many of you have seen tribal education centers around your vicinity? So the number is very, very less. Why? Why? Because government has not invested time, money or will. You have to write three things: time, money or will to develop the tribal institutions whose primary goal was to preserve the tribal culture. Let me ask you a question. Old Chiki script is a tribal language. Santhali people use Old Chiki script. You can also write your OPSC exam in Old Chiki script. There is a optional Old Chiki where you can take the optional and clear the exam. But have you ever seen a Old Chiki university? Santhali population is one of the highest population in India, not only in Odisha but in India. Have you seen a Santhali school? Have you ever heard a news about a Santhali college or university? Right? So these highlight the neglection of tribal education system, whose primary goal was to preserve cultural identity and traditional livelihood. So we can write about all these things, and later on we can also derive a point under the heading social neglection. So tribal people are generally seen in the society as backward. Uh, some group of people who see them as they are underdeveloped and they lack the civic sense or etc. So there is a social neglection also. Okay, so these things we can write under the negative points. And how are these related to development? They are related to development through, we can write about the development project, recent development projects which lead to uh, these things. Now we can also write about the UCC. Okay, see here it is written development initiative. So we have to consider that it is not only talking about economic development initiatives, it is talking about whole polity, economy, society, etc. Any initiative, any scheme, any step government has taken, everything can be written under it. So in UCC, we can write that UCC. What is UCC? You know that under Article 44, our constitution prescribes that under UCC there will be a common law for marriage, inheritance, divorce, adoption. Okay, so tribal culture is a just a minute. Tribal culture is a very different and a unique culture. Okay, such as for example, the in recent 2 3 months, Hathi tribe of Uttarakhand came in news. Why? Because in Hathi tribe there is a tradition called Jodi Charan. Jodi Dharan means one female marries two men and both the men have to be blood brothers. Right? So this is a tradition which is still celebrated in the Hathi tribe. But if we apply UCC and they are from Uttarakhand, where UCC is being applied, isn't this a problem? Right? So these things can be written. Okay. Now we have to critically analyze, is this statement true or not? So development initiative for tribal communities often comes at their cultural identity and traditional livelihood. What do you think? Yes. So we will not directly not write yes, but we will write in such a manner that it will be a middle path. Okay, in a not black and white, it will be gray area. Okay, so what can we write? We will write that many steps have been taken for tribal development in every sphere, such as political, economical, health, education, but there is a lag or a structural ingenuity inherent in these schemes, whose aim is to actually develop the tribals, but it fails due to its structural incapacities. So आमे कौन लिखिलु एठी आमे लिखिलु कि भाई सरकार जो स्कीम गुडा को डिजाइन करचंती सेटा सीए भलो एम रे डिजाइन करचंती कि ट्राइबल मानकर डेवलपमेंट हो एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा बट सेठी किछि स्ट्रक्चरल इनकैपेसिटी इनजेन्युइनिटी अछि जोटा कि ताको तार जो पोटेंशियल तार जो एम अछि ताको अचीव करबा को दो एटा आमे एठी लिखिलु राइट सो एटा गोटे ग्रे एरिया हे गला वी आर नॉट सेइंग यस और नॉट सेइंग नो नाउ वी हैव आल्सो राइट how can we ensure the inclusive development while preserving tribal heritage and autonomy. So always starts with every step which we take for inclusive development or tribal culture or autonomy, it starts with a political will which is provided under the PESA Act. So we have designed the PESA Act, 5th schedule, 6th schedule. Okay, these are already given. We have to write that, including how we can improve them. We can also write about, I have talked about fundamental rights, right? So taking these into consideration, we have to write the how we can ensure the inclusive development while preserving tribal heritage and autonomy. Now PESA Act, 5th schedule, 6th schedule, fundamental rights. Now the main problem which we can see in these events are, number one is power, number second is autonomy, third is conflict with forest department. Here in power I am talking about financial power, right? And here autonomy I am talking about decision. So these 4 points need to be highlighted, right? So financial, as we know, PESA Act, Panchayati Raj Extension Act, okay, Panchayati Raj Extension to Schedule Areas Act 1996. So here, as we know, every panchayat is under stress financially. The sarpanch had to nearly beg to the block development officers for the funds. Generally, the funds which are provided by the finance commission were tied in nature. Sorry, were tied in nature. That means they are related to schemes only. If the scheme is being implemented in the panchayat, then the panchayat can avail the funds. Isn't it a problem? Very big problem. So where is autonomy? Where is autonomy? So if I want my area to develop, I have to depend upon a scheme. Okay, every area has a different culture, different value, different level of development. So if the funds are tied in nature, my problem or my community's problem cannot be solved, because the schemes designed is one approach for all, one size fits for all. Isn't it a problem? So this is number one. Second is autonomy and decision making. Autonomy and decision making. Number one is economic. We have already written about that. The second thing is right about their resources, right to manage their resources. Right. Generally, as the tribal people live near vicinity or inside the forest, which comes under the authority of forest department, we generally see a conflict between forest department and tribals. Their main for the forest department, tribals were their enemies because they cut down the trees, they collect honey, they collect other forest resources which are necessary for their life. And for tribals, forest department are their enemy because they prevent them from doing their livelihood activities which are necessary for their survival and are being done from the past thousands of years. So this conflict, this leads to a very big problem, right? So how can we ensure the inclusive development while preserving tribal heritage and autonomy? The best thing would be to protect tribal heritage. We have taken already steps. The Kai chutney is being designated as a GI tagged product of Mayurbhanj, right? This is a very good example where the government has tried to protect the tribal heritage. As the tribal heritage is being eroded due to globalization, these steps can prevent or slow down or break down the effect of globalization in tribal heritage. So we can write about GI tag. Okay. We can also write about the fifth schedule autonomy given to the district councils, right? But here we have to write that we have to give them financial autonomy. We have to give them decision making powers. Okay. We have to provide them with a area specific scheme which can solve their problems. Okay. Then we can also write about the joint projects between forest department and tribal, such as joint forest management. Tourism can be, for example, tribals can be appointed as tourist guides because they knew every nook and corner of the forest. Okay, so tourism projects can be guided under them. Forest protection squad. Okay, primarily depends upon tribals. You can also write about the Padma Shri Samman to Mrs. Tulasi Gowda by the president. Right? Why? For preserving the forest. So, in this era where economic development is generally seen as a negative genre for environmentalists, that means whenever economic development happens, the environmentalists try to stop it, protest, against it or delay it, because for them the economic development generally, I'm not saying about 100%, but generally leads to the degradation of environment. So the example of Tulsi Goda, who is considered as a living encyclopedia, okay, of forest. So we can write about that. Okay, so how could you ensure inclusive development? By giving them financial power, decision making power over their resources such as wood, minor minerals such as sand, forest products such as BD leaves or honey or lac or jhuna, etc. Forest fruits and flowers, etc. Then launching joint projects under joint forest management programs, tourism guides, and forest protection squads. We can ensure their inclusive development, and also we can write about the education, healthcare, and etc. For education, we can write the primary education or the first 5 years should be dedicated to study a part or integrating a part of the syllabus where the tribal areas must study about the tribal culture and tribal heritage. Okay, popularizing the tribal festivals such as we see in the Bihu festival of Assam, which is primarily a tribal festival but is very popular not in India but throughout the world. Then we can also write about the um, I'm forgetting the name. There is a festival, tribal festival called Hornbill. Hornbill festival. Hornbill festival is also being celebrated in Nagaland and is very popular throughout the world. So, like this, for popularizing the tribal art, tribal heritage, you can also write about the Tosali Mela. Tosali Mela, which is in Bhubaneswar. It tries to project the rich diversity and heritage of tribals. So by doing these things, we can not only protect and preserve the tribal heritage and autonomy, but also promote it. This is your conclusion. Okay. Now, I hope ଆପଣ ବୁଝିଯାଇଥିବେ. Next, it is a basic and simple question. The tribal artificial sorry the artificial intelligence presents both unprecedented opportunities and existential challenges for developing societies like India. In light of the statement, examine the socio-economic implication of AI adoption and suggest measures. Okay, so this is also a question where there is three parts we need to address. So first part is present both unprecedented opportunities and challenges. Now in the first part we have to address that AI good, AI bad. Okay. Now second, in light of this, examine the socio-economic implication. Now second will be our socio-economic implications of AI. Here also we have to write about the positive points and negative points. Lastly, suggest measures to ensure ethical and AI development. So third part will be measures. Now we have to write the body in three parts, right? This will be the most easiest part, this will be a little bit difficult, and this will be a easiest part again. So let us start with the introduction. Now in the introduction, you must remember the actually standard definition of AI or machine learning. Okay, what is artificial intelligence? A simple definition can be, it is a machine learning process which mimics the human intelligence to an level. So this can be artificial intelligence, or you can also write this is a technology based innovation where the machines try to match the intelligence of a human being. So like that. Now after our intro, we must write about the opportunities and the existential challenges. So you can draw a diagram or you can just divide it, such as AI. This can be a good option. Okay, let me erase it. AI. Here you have written about the good or positive, whatever you may like. Then you can also write about like this. Here you can write bad or negative, and then you can also draw a spider diagram like that. So in a simple diagram, you have marked the positive and negative points. You know about the positive and negative points, but the point must be multidimensional. Remember, never write on a single dimension. Always write in education, health, schemes or initiatives, technology, science, etc. etc. Similarly, negative, you can also write about thinking capacity, human effort, economic, job, etc. etc. Always write in multi-dimension model so that the examiner knows that I am not selecting a robot, right? He knows about the multi-dimensional impact of AI in positive and negative. So this will help you in writing the second part where we are going to write the socio-economic implications. Okay, so in education we can write about it is benefiting many students, even teachers, to readily manage their educational curriculum. Okay, health. In health, AI can be used in near future for identifying or detection of disease early, such as cancer, where we can not only uh, protect or save life of a cancer patient but also prevent it from spreading to others. Now, in schemes or initiative, AI is being implemented in Digiyatra. You know about it, right? And AI can be implemented in future for road safety. You know about it that cities like Dubai have implemented AI in traffic management. Okay, so now in technology, AI AI is AI's primary aim was to deliver product in a swift and fast manner. We have seen this, and now in science, it can also help in research and development. Okay, so these things, AI can also be used in entertainment, as we have seen in YouTube and Instagram videos. Okay, whereas in negative points, we can also write the what is the main problem of AI? Have you ever thought about it? The main problem of AI is that we haven't completely understood the technology, but we have heavily dependent on it. Right? ଆମେ ବୁଝିନୁ ସେ ଜିନିଷଟା କ'ଣ କିନ୍ତୁ ଆମେ ତା ଉପରେ ଡିପେଣ୍ଡେଣ୍ଟ ହେଇଗଲୁଣି and dependency will always lead to sorrow, right? So our highlight will be this point, that the over dependency on AI, a technology that we haven't understood fully, is a problem in every aspect of life, such as in education. A student can cheat, or a student heavily depending on AI generally lacks the mental capacity or the reasoning ability for future progress. Third is, you know about the job losses. Let me take some water. Okay, so you know about the job losses, right? You know about the replacement of humans by layoffs. We have seen the layoffs. We have seen the deep fake videos, the famous case of Rasmika Mandhana, right? We have seen synthetic contents, right? Which can be used for radicalization, which can be used to promote communal violence, which can be used against an individual's right over his body or his integrity. One can deepfake one's voice, etc. We have recently seen in memes, right, that our honorable Prime Minister is being trolled with the Prime Minister of Italy under the name Melody, right? So you've seen all these things. So we can write about the positive and negative points. Now, second thing is, how can you? What is the implication of socio-economically AI? So what is the socio-economic implication? Dekho, see here, socio-economic. So this term signifies both society and economy. It can drive the either society toward progress or towards mediocre city. Means if we are heavily dependent on a thing, then we lost the ability to think. Okay, decision making process can be faulty. which can lead to a mediocre society. Okay, as the young generation influenced by the AI were more dependent on it. Second thing is it can create job, but it will also take jobs. It will create jobs, no doubt about that. But the replacement rate is very low. That means if 1,000 people were being laid off, then AI can only absorb 10 or 50. Other 900 will be unemployed. So this is another problem which will drive poverty, hunger, and can slow down the government initiative such as achieving the SDG goals. Right? যদি ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ହାତକୁ ପଇସା ଆସିବନି ଜବ୍ ତାଙ୍କର ଯିବ ତାହେଲେ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଯୋଉ ଇନିସିଏଟିଭ ଅଛି ଆମେ ଏସଡିଜି ଗୋଲରେ କହୁଛେ କି ପଭର୍ଟିକୁ ହଟେଇ ଦେବା ଭାରତକୁ ଥର୍ଡ ଲାର୍ଜେଷ୍ଟ ଇକୋନୋମି କରିବା 5 ट्रिलियन और 10 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी बनवार अच्छी हेनी बिकॉज एम्प्लॉयमेंट द्वारा सेटा हुए एंड एटा हेनी द श्रिंकेज ऑफ आईटी इंडस्ट्री स्पेशली वी हैव टू राइट द श्रिंकेज ऑफ आईटी इंडस्ट्री एज आईटी इज बीइंग heavily dependent on AI. You have seen many companies who are laying off are IT. So service sector which contributes more than the agricultural sector in terms of GDP is being shrinking slowly. So this is a very big problem. AI doesn't know what is ethical, what is not. So ethical use of AI is another challenge. AI can provide misinformation, biased information, such as just go to Gemini and try to generate a Indian. Just you just write, give me a image of an Indian teacher, and you will see multiple times it will generate Sikh, the teacher being Sikh or Punjabi. Why is that? So this shows the biasness of the AI, right? Or if you doesn't put any country, you just write that I need a image of a girl. It will always provide you image of a person whose color is fair, never black. Why is that? So this shows the biasness, and it will fuel the already biased thoughts existing in a human being. Okay, so AI is biased. This is another challenge. So this is the socio-economic implication that it can drive poverty, hunger, it can drive communal tension, it can drive the already present biases to a next level. It can also provide misinformation, but it can also generate jobs. It will take jobs. It will always help in research and development. It will always develop in exploring the new frontiers of science, engineering, arts, etc., medicine. It will always help in human beings progress, but the main challenge is regulation. As India lacks a dedicated law regarding AI, the issues of ethical and equitable AI still lurks in the corner. So there is IT Act, there is European Union AI law, but the laws specifically addresses specific challenges. There is not a global law about AI. There is India lacks in AI regulation. So after fulfilling these things, we can ensure the ethical and equitable development of AI. Parental guidelines can be issued. The age verification is another tool we can use. The parental guidance is another thing. Anything produced by using AI should be registered, or it can be traceable. For example, I have produced a video, so anyone can trace that who has produced the video. Any tag or any apps which I used, like the China. In China, if you produce a synthetic content, let us take for example a deepfake video. So anyone can trace that who has created the video, because you have to register before producing a deepfake video in any app. Okay, so these are the things. There is also a concern which we generally seen, that AI trends. Okay, I have forgotten to explain. Always write about the AI trends, such as the sari trend. Recently we have seen the sari trend. uh, Now think about it. I have uploaded a photo and it will generate another photo which will be good looking. Obviously, it will be good looking. The Ghibli trend or the sari trend recently. So what happens there? That it tries to produce a human being or my photo uh, more attractive, with more attractive clothes, more attractive looks. Now this gap, I know how I look, and I also know this photo where I am looking very handsome is actually not me. Now this leads to a inferiority. This leads to a uh, this lead to generation of a inferiority complex in me, that I have to constantly try to look like that, right? So I will buy beauty products. The AI will further enhance the uh, humans inferiority already existing in mind. Now I have to constantly try to look good, etc., etc. Especially women are the main victims of these AI driven content. So always write about these things. Okay, now the next question. Critically evaluate the potential of NEP 2020. This is a basic question. Why I have given the question? Because NEP 2020 is being used for last 3-4 months. That is why. So critically evaluate the potential of NEP 2020 to address the long-standing challenges of equality, equity and access in Indian education. Examine the implementational challenges. So what is NEP 2020? We have to write about that. You know, I do not need to discuss on that. Now, long-standing challenges of quality, equality, and access in Indian education. Examine the implementational challenges. So, it has not asked us about the features of NEP, but we have to write, right? So, firstly, in the body, you have to write about the NEP's features. So, what are the features of NEP? You know about them, right? NEP tries to develop a child fully, physically, mentally, spiritually, right? It has also provision of vocational training. Okay, AI integration, zero dropout ratio, increasing the gross enrollment ratio, teacher training, infrastructure, internet facility, vernacular education. Okay, 5+3+3 जो the system is tries to implement. It also implements the cross pollination of different subjects. One can choose history and physics and accounts. Okay, so cross pollination of subjects. Okay, so these are the some important features. Now the long standing quality equity access, we know about the problems such as teacher is to student ratio, the infrastructural deficiency in our educational institutions such as internet penetration or computer availability, bathrooms are not there. Okay, so these are basic problems which are not being addressed in NEP. Okay, uh, next problem will be the use of technology in education. So our teacher training programs has not evolved according to the evolution of technology, at par with the technology. We can also write about that. Third thing is the exams. Exams are not in a pattern which can actually identify the students' development. Exams specifically focus on rote learning rather than value assessment or value education. The syllabus is another burden. How the syllabus is not in alignment with the contemporary society. We are still reading about the what the Rishi Munis have done in this yajna or that yajna, but we are not reading about the AI. Okay, so this is a problem. This is another problem. The fourth thing is the resources. Fifth is the dropout. So these are some issues we can write. Now, implementational challenges. What are the implementational challenges? Implemental challenges starts with the political will. Okay, many states have protested NEP 2020. We know about that. The PM Diksha school have been rejected by West Bengal as the funds are generally, the scheme is central. Okay, the central government designed this scheme, but the fund is shared. Sorry, not the fund. The cost is beared by both the center and the state. So states are protesting if the scheme is designed by the center. So why will we bear the cost? Such as the West Bengal government has protested against it, that I have to bear the 40% cost, whereas the scheme specifically designed in the center and do not address my challenges. So this is a very big implementational challenges. Second thing is the ambitious targets require a productive, efficient manpower. Our teachers were alien to AI. How can they teach the students how to use AI or machine learning? Very big problem. The teacher training programs are generally skipped by teachers, or generally neglected by teachers, schools even. There is no surveillance mechanism, that these policies were properly, effectively implemented or not. There is no database about it. There is no we can say punishment for not implementing. Punishment is a harsh term, but punishment in the sense penalty, we can write not punishment but penalty. Okay, so these are some implementation challenges. Now let us move forward. While domestic violence against women is widely discussed, this is a question which is generally seen in news. You can see the Meghalaya case, the red drum case, or the case where the wife has chopped her husband into pieces and then dug a hole under his house and then buried him. So these are things due to which I have given the news, given the question, but I'm sure you have been surprised by the question. Okay, so what you can write? Okay, see, in the intro, we can simply write that the crime or violence against women is a phenomenon witnessed from centuries, but crime against men goes unaddressed, right? So this will be our simple intro. We can write, you can elaborate on that, from ancient age to modern age, women still faces these problems, whereas men also faces this problem but are not being addressed. So you can always elaborate on that. Now, while domestic violence against women is widely discussed, violence perpetrated by women against men remains a less exploited issue. Discuss the societal challenges, legal challenges. Okay. Okay, so we have addressed this in intro. Now discuss the societal legal challenges. Now in the body we have to write the societal challenges. You know about this, right? Men are strong, men do not cry. These are, what are these? These two are some social expectation that is pressurized on men, right? So what we will write? We will write that the patriarchal society on the one hand oppresses women, on the other hand influences men or pressurize men to perform specific tasks or duty without complaint, as it's seen in the following lines, that men do not cry, मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता. You can write about that, मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता. Okay, or पुओ पिला माने कांदंती नहीं. These things you can write in Odia, no problem. Okay, first point. Second social point will be that if a male is being the victim of crime, he need not to express it, as it is seen as a symbol of weakness, right? So this will be our second point. Third point will be, from historical perspective, there is no law regarding violence against men by women. So in our consciousness, the concept of violence by women against men is absence, which is reflected in law, policy, or other aspects of society. So this will be this is our third point in society. Now the fourth point will be derived from this patriarchal point only. How? The crime against women is such common in Indian patriarchal society that it is being taken as a norm that a husband can beat his wife, or women need to be punished. These ideas generally persist in the patriarchal society. But whenever a crime against a man happens, the patriarchal society sees it through the lens of patriarchy, highlighting the a small news into a national issue. This is a very big problem. माने कहबार कथाटा ओडिया रे एटा होचे कि पैट्रियार्कल सोसाइटी रे सब बळे वुमेन माने को अगेंस्ट क्राइम हेचे, तो एते क्राइम हेचे कि लोक माने नॉर्मल आज भी सेठी पेपर डेली आछी कि से ता स्त्री को बाडेला, से ता स्त्री को मार देला, एटसेट्रा, तो लोक माने डेली देखछन, तो किछि फरक पडुनी। फेरज सेही सेम पैट्रियार्की जेतबे देखुची गोटे झियोटा गोटे पुओ ऊपर को क्राइम कला, तो सेटा गोटे नेशनल मुद्दा बनउची कि एटा तो केबे हो नथिला, एबे होची एटसेट्रा, बिकॉज़ पैट्रियार्की is not only oppressive to men, women, but it is also oppressive to men. So हमें चारटा पॉइंट लिखी देले कोठी हमारा फर्स्ट ईयर. Now 10 markers, so we do not need to elaborate more. Now next is legal challenges. So 2-3 points can only be written. Number one is, we do not have gender neutral laws, or the gender, number one, we can write about we lack the gender neutral laws, or if there is a law which talks about gender neutrality, the aspect of male has been ignored, such as the POCSO Act. In the POCSO Act is a very good example of gender neutral law regarding the sexual protection. But here, whenever we see POCSO Act being implemented, we always and every time assume that the victim will always be a woman or a girl. But the concept of rape of a man is generally absent from our conscious mind, that rape against man cannot be happen. Okay, so what this indicates? It indicates that there is also lack of gender neutrality, gender neutral laws, or if there is a gender neutral law, then the male aspect has been erased, or not looked upon, or not considered, etc. Okay, this is the first point. Second point is, there is also fake cases. Okay, fake cases such as the dowry, alimony. Third, it will be our third point, alimony, and fourth is actually real crime. So these 3 points need to be highlighted. Dowry, we have seen many, and rape, dowry and rape. Okay, there are many false cases where the female perpetrator has accused a man of raping her or demanding dowry, but actually the person or the man doesn't raped her, do not raped her, or do not demand dowry. So these fake cases, have you ever thought about that, why these fake cases gets popular? Because patriarchy has provided the society with another lens where the crime is the criminal will always seen as men and the victim is always seen as female. That means if a girl is talking that she has been raped, then we generally consider yes, she has been raped, right? Uh, uh, this is the a we can say this is the lens, okay, which oppresses both men and women. So this is a very big problem. There is no social acceptance that the girl who is claiming that she has been raped can be the original perpetrator who is trying to um, punish his male counterpart. These are the problems. Second is alimony. Heavy alimony. We have seen that many women are claiming alimony in a very we can say extensive rate that the male counterpart uh, is not only become the victim of female-led violence, but also became the victim of poverty, right? Third is a real crime. You must write about the Meghalaya violence. The Meghalaya assassination case was a clear example of marriage being pressurized by the family on a girl on the line of caste. So what happened in that case? You do not need to write about that. Just to share that the girl has been forcefully married under his clan, under her father's clan. So what happened? That as she doesn't want the marriage, or she doesn't respect the marriage, she has planned with his boyfriend to murder her husband. Now, if we consider that, let us take for example that girl was married to the her boyfriend. Okay, so will she be prompted to do the assassination? No. So these are some things we need to write. Okay, there is also a rise in cases where females and their lovers, generally someone from outside their family, plans to murder her husband, even poisoning her child. So this shows the erosion of values. Marriage is a very sacred thing in Indian society, especially. So the erosion of values have also been led to women-led crime. These are some things we need to write. How will you improve this? Just write that social change of social perception, installing again the values, or eroding the caste barriers. Okay, these things. If these things are implemented, then or gender neutral laws, etc., etc., right? So this is the last question. Despite the decriminalization of section 377, LGBTQ plus individuals in India continues to face discrimination and marginalization. Discuss the challenges in ensuring social acceptance and equal rights for LGBTQ community. So in the introduction you need to elaborate what is decriminalization of section 377. So you have to write that under the section 377, it is a British era law which criminalizes even the consensual sex among different individuals. Okay, now who are LGBTQ plus? LGBTQ plus are individuals who do not subscribe to the idea that the gender assigned to their during their birth is their original gender, right? So these individuals, and the section 377 has been decriminalized by the Supreme Court under the article 14, where we have talked about equality. So consensual sex among individuals is allowed, even if the parties are of same sex, right? This is one thing. Second thing, ki discrimination and marginalization, and how can we ensure their social acceptance? So we have known from society that first we need to address what are the some of the discrimination they face. So their name is being used to humiliate a person, such as the use of term hinjda, chakka, etc. Generally, they are seen. This indicates that they are seen in a negative light in the society. Okay, they were forced to begging, as a society doesn't accept them. Generally, families ousted them from their homes. So this is another thing, begging them to uh, pushing them towards poverty and begging. Third, official neglection. As the society perceives them as negative individuals, the police stations, railway authorities, and other administrative structures ignore them. There is no acceptance of them in public jobs. Yes or no? So these are some problems we face. Third thing is, they were marginalized to such an extent that they are forced to adopt sex work, or they work as sex workers. These are some things. Now, how can we ensure social acceptance and equal rights? There are some schemes. I'm forgetting the name. This scheme was what is the scheme uh, which ensured their political which ensured them homes and Khushi or something scheme like that. I'm forgetting the name. Please look on the internet. What is the scheme implemented for ensuring their homes and some education, I guess. Khushi or something like that scheme. Sorry. The Indradhanush scheme. Indradhanush. There are two Indradhanush scheme. One for the immunization of masses, and another Indradhanush scheme is for LGBTQ. As their flag is a rainbow flag, so Indradhanush scheme. Okay. Now, second thing, how will we ensure? Number one is providing them reservation. Always, reservation can work as miracle. Where is reservation? Political reservation in Panchayati Raj or in Constituent Assembly, we can provide them. Okay. Secondly, for education and employment in public sphere, we can provide reservation. So this will ensure their representation and will generate a good image of LGBTQ communities. Okay. Now again, let us move forward. Next thing is, after that, we need value based education where a human being is seen as a human being and not as a we can say slang or gali, right? So this is one thing. Fourth thing is, social boundary or the social perception can only be changed by doing social work, right? So we must ensure NGOs or civil society organizations who can always try to not only protect their rights but also show the world that they are also persons, they have also needs, and they can also contribute positively to the society. Okay, so these points should be written in your body. Now, lastly, in the conclusion, we can also write that uh, any quote, if you know, that will be better, but I'm assuming you do not know a quote, so please remember I am saying one. Carl Jung said that when you touch a human being, always treat him as a human being. Touch means when you face a human being and recognize that there is a piece of God in him, and make sure that he or she sees them in you first. Okay, so କହିବାର ମାନେ କ'ଣ, କାଲି ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି କି ଯେତେବେଳେ ବି ତୁମେ ଗୋଟେ ହ୍ୟୁମାନ୍ ବିଙ୍ଗକୁ ଦେଖୁଛ ତ ତାକୁ ହ୍ୟୁମାନ୍ ବିଙ୍ଗ ଭଳିଆ ଦେଖ, ଆଉ ଏଇଟା ସବୁବେଳେ ମନେ ରଖ କି ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ହ୍ୟୁମାନ୍ ବିଙ୍ଗ ଭିତରେ ଭଗବାନଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟ ପିସ୍ ଅଛି, ଆଉ ଏଇଟା ଏନ୍ସ୍યોର କର କି ସେ ପିସ୍ଟା ତୁମ ଭିତରେ ଅଛି ବୋଲି ସିଏ ପ୍ରଥମେ ଦେଖିବ, ରାଇଟ୍? ସୋ like these quotes, if you remember, if you don't, then just write that human beings or LGBTQs are not a separate category. They are made by the same creator, or they are part of the same society we live in. So respecting and collaborating with them can not only benefit the society but also drive the nation towards progress. This will be our conclusion. So this was the last question. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. If you have any doubts, kindly write in the group. Okay, bye bye.